Oh, hey there. A little bit earlier today I made some chili, and I thought, what would go good with this chili? It's actually just sitting, simmering now, because the longer you cook it, the better it gets. I thought, why don't I make some cornbread? And so cornbread it goes great with chili, and it's also just kind of a great food to have around. So I'm going to show you one of the easiest cornbread recipes I've ever found. There's olive oil, so it has a little bit of that flavor in it. It's from Nora Cooks, I believe, so all credit to her. I didn't make this up, and I did make up the chili recipe, so if you want something cool to have with that cornbread, maybe check out that chili recipe video by clicking whatever. There's probably a thing up here or in the description, and you can check that out as well, and maybe make both of these things together. So this cornbread recipe is awesome. It's not too sweet. It's very easy. It's like a one bowl sort of deal, and you can make it all different ways. I think I'm gonna make mine today as little cornbread cupcakes. So let's get into it. All right, so first things first, preheat your oven to 400 degrees. All right, so step one, get your big old bowl. Step two, we're gonna add 1 1/4 cups of, this is gluten-free all-purpose flour. Now, if you don't got no problems with gluten, if you and gluten be hanging out, then you could just use normal flour, and that would be wonderful. Next, you're gonna wanna add a cup of the cornmeal. Now, I use the medium grind. I think a fine grind would probably be just a titch better, depending on if you like that grit in your cornbread. But like I said, I've made this cornbread with different types of, maybe I didn't say it yet, but I've made this cornbread all different ways. I've kind of tweaked it. There's been times I've thrown a little bit of almond flour in there. I've used coconut sugar instead of cane sugar. It's kind of hard to mess up. This recipe, Nora, you did a really good job on this. This is a really good recipe. So I have my dry ingredients, so I'm gonna stir them real quick. You just want this thing to be homogeneous. You know, you don't want one bit of your cornbread to be just corn and the other one to be just bread. That's not what we're going for. All right, next you're gonna wanna add 2/3 of a cup of sugar. Now, if you don't like sugar, or you do like sugar too much and you're trying to avoid it because of that, I would maybe recommend using like a maple sugar or coconut sugar. Personally, I think maple sugar kind of works better in baked goods. All right, next is you're gonna add about a tablespoon of baking powder. Just baking powder, not soda powder. You don't want this thing to taste like soap. And then the last thing you're gonna add is our wet ingredients, which is gonna be almond milk. You can use any alt milk. I've made it with Oatly before. I've made it with coconut milk before. It's good. I think oat and almond work the best, but you follow your bliss. You know what you need to do. You're gonna do 1 1/4 cups of almond milk, unsweetened. But I guess if you have sweetened, this would be the place to use it. I mean, this is kind of a sweet savory thing, but I think it's a little better if you have a choice to go with unsweetened. This is such a fast recipe too. Like, it's been like, what, 4 minutes and I'm almost done? That's what I'm talking about. Let's get some cornbread in here quick. Stop messing around. Alrighty, and so the last thing is supposed to be canola oil. Now, I actually didn't have canola oil because it's kind of not the healthiest thing in the world, so I try not to eat it that often. But I added olive oil, because that's what I had on hand the first time I made it. And I found that, holy crap, this tastes amazing with olive oil. So I highly recommend it, though you could technically use any vegetable oil. All right, so we're gonna do 1/3 cup. And I would honestly say the bougier the better, because with your olive oil, because the olive oil is kind of a pronounced flavor in this cornbread. I might even call this olive oil cornbread, because it is that way. So so I would definitely add olive oil. Try to get the bougiest one you can, but even just the medium one, like this is just Trader Joe's, this is gonna be fine, okay? Now I'm gonna stir this with my rubber spatula and not a whisk. And the only reason is because with a whisk, it's gonna get super stuck. If you have a stand mixer, you could do it, but I kind of like the gritty, kind of more rustic vibe of this cornbread. And then I might throw this in some cupcake tins because I think that'll look cute. And I also can't find my normal pan. So that's the actual real reason. If you're a low carb person, by the way, I know I've said this in other videos if you watch these regularly, that you can swap out the sugar for Swerve, which is like a alt sugar. It's like a low calorie sugar. If you're like a keto person or a low carb person, I mean, it still does have corn and stuff, so this isn't going to be like low carb approved, but you know, if you want to minimize the damage, I have made it with that and it tastes good, but I would rather just have a little bit of normal sugar and practice moderation. That's my sort of vibe. This is looking good. So now we got to get this into some cupcake slash muffin tins and throw it in our oven, and it'll be done in, I don't know, pretty quickly. All right, so I have this little muffin cupcake tin thing, and I'm throwing in a quarter of a cup of the filling into each one of these. I did spray it too really quick with basically like a coconut oil spray. You could use, you know, whatever. I like this one, has very minimal flavor. What's it called? It's just the store brand. Okay, so it's just coconut oil cooking spray. If you don't have coconut oil cooking spray, then use a little bit of olive oil in like a napkin, and that way you really are gonna get the olive oil. And this is going to rise more than you think, considering the only thing in there is baking powder and there's no eggs or anything. It will rise, I assure you. So, but I kind of want it to rise. I want it to come up and kind of really look like a muffin. So don't be afraid to fill these if you want it to look like a muffin. If you want them to be a little bit more stout, then maybe fill them 3/4 of the way. But I'm not really afraid of it because I like it to look like a muffin. Don't you want it to look like a muffin? All right, so we have our muffins poured. You can pour it into one of these, or you can also pour it into like a 9-inch cake round or an 8x8 brownie pan. Those are the ways I've traditionally made it. I have made it like this before in like muffin tins and cupcake tins. Works the same, cooks for pretty much the same amount of time. A lot of times you have to adjust it. This is one of those cases where you don't really have to adjust it. So you're gonna throw it in the oven that's at 400 for around 20 minutes, okay? And I would check at 10 just to make sure they're not overdone. Every oven's a little different. This one's a little bit funky, so I know that 20 minutes is gonna be good. But for you, make sure you watch it. But yeah, here we go. Here we got some cornbread muffins going in. Let me throw them in, and I'll see you in 20 minutes when I eat these bad boys, hopefully with some chili. All right, so here is the cornbread. It is done. It's in a beautiful little pyramid. So I'm gonna have my wonderful, magical, perfect fairy wife come in and try it. Hello.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thanks.
She's had a little bit of a morning.
Yeah.
So hopefully this doesn't make it worse. Yeah. Okay, so here's the cornbread. Don't they look cuter?
They do look cute.
You wanna give it a little bitey bite?
All right.
Do you need butter or anything with it?
No.
No, you want it neat? Neat. They're still warm, I bet. Yeah.
They are, but they're really good.
Yeah? Awesome.
You're not gonna ask me to rate it?
Rate it. I'm a little afraid to keep asking you anything, to be honest. I'm like, okay, go do what you were doing. No, yeah, give me 1 to 10.
I think 8 for me.
8 fairies out of 10?
Uh-huh.
Okay. What do I need to do to get a 10 out of you? You think we'll go with chili?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, cool. Because in like 2 minutes, I'm going to have you taste that.
Okay.
All right.
Good.
So there you have it. Thank
Yeah.
you. There you have it. Cornbread. This one's not my recipe, but it goes well with some chili. So encourage you to make it alone. Make it with the chili. If you're like, hey, that's a good idea. I want to make some chili. Maybe click somewhere, description. Maybe there's a card, a video of me making the chili that I often pair with this cornbread. If you enjoy watching videos like this, why don't you go ahead and subscribe? That way you always get notified when the next video is out. I really appreciate your time. Let me know down in the comments if you make this or if you did any tweak on it. Feel free to tag me at HeyAJ Rivera on Instagram. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time. Oh yeah, it's good. Yeah, I like it better.